Welcome back to AskReddit Discover channel. What's your creepiest non-paranormal story? When I was a little kid, like 8 or 9, I was walking down a pretty main street in Moscow, with a friend of mine. I don't really remember where we were headed, but I was the type of kid that was always out and about. So we turned down a smaller street and I see this guy. He was sorta sick looking, like his face was weird. He was standing in front of an open door and it was really dark inside. He calls to me and he says, "Could you please go inside and grab my glasses for me? I can't see without them." I look inside and all I could see is a table and a chair. So he tells me it's right there on the table. I was a little weirded out, plus the door was one of these thick metal doors, so it got me even more scared. So then I tell him, "If you know where the glasses are, why can't you get them yourself?" And he tells me it's hard for him to see, so why don't I do it? At this point I just walked away really fast. Sometimes I still think of that moment and I think that I could have been easily raped or molested or killed that day. He was actually KGB, you were gonna be genetically engineered to become a super spy. Some say that he still cannot see to this day. Not as dark as this, not anywhere near it, but this is mine. In Newport, me and my mum were walking through an underpass to go to my friend's birthday party. I was 5 at the time. This homeless dude threw a coin out on the floor for me, and I went to grab it, because I was a dumb kid. As I went to grab it, he went to grab me. My mum pulled me back and told me to wait a little further along the underpass with a group of people who had seen what went down, and who didn't look like a Jimmy Savile tribute band. She walked back into the underpass, and that's the first time I ever heard my mum get properly angry. I think she kicked the shit out of him. When I was around 13, my single father worked nights, and because of this I was in charge of babysitting my 10-year-old sister. I was up at 3 a.m. on a school night in the living room watching TV. This is around the time I discovered the Girls Gone Wild commercials, when I hear a car pull in my driveway. Thinking it was my father, I did what any sensible child would do, and I turned off the TV and like a bolt of lightning ran to my room. As I waited pretending to be sleeping, I noticed that the vehicle never turned off, and so I mustered up some courage and peeked out my bedroom window. Outside there was a truck I didn't recognize just sitting in the driveway with its headlights on. I heard the front doorknob jingle, and for whatever reason I grabbed a metal pole, ran into my sister's room, locked the door and started hitting it, making it sound like a house alarm. I did this for what felt like an eternity while my sister kept watch and saw 2 men get in the truck and drive off. They could have been lost, they could have been looking to rob us, who knows, but I never told my father, for fear of being punished being up at 3 a.m., and I never saw anything like that again. They could have been lost. Lost people generally don't jiggle the doorknob. Quick, hide behind me. Wee wo whoop wow ee woo wee woo. Tell me you have told him since this happened. I want to know his reaction. When I was 18 or 19, I went out to a New Year's Eve party in the city and dropped my ID in the street. It was mailed back to me by a gentleman named Leopold. Leopold was 53 and had recently been released from prison. He sent pictures of him volunteering at a soup kitchen. Leopold was determined that him finding my ID was a sign and that we were destined to be together. He sent Bible verses that, to him, justified this belief. He mostly expressed regret that I lived too far away, and that he didn't have a car to come visit me. I was not at all regretful about this. Leopold sent other letters, but I never opened them. Poor Leopold, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Well, you just missed out on the love of your life. 9th grade, my friends and I left campus for lunch, and were walking through a neighborhood. My friend noticed up ahead on the other side of the street, some guy in a pickup truck was talking to a little girl right outside his front door with the front door open. He said something wasn't right and I thought it must just be her father. Anyway, my friend walks up to him, my friends and me following, and asks if there's a problem. The older guy said no, leave him and his granddaughter alone. My friend asks her if that's her grandfather and she said no. When he asked her if she knew him, she said no. That's when my friend John stepped in between them and started talking shit to him, threatening to kick his ass. My friend called the police. Police came. It got the neighbors' attention. Some guys across the street came out with baseball bats and chains. When they saw what was going on, the police had to go and keep them from intervening, that the cops were taking care of it. The girl's mom came outside and was crying and screaming, which is what got the neighbors' attention besides the sirens. We had to write down a report for the officers. Give our contact information, though they never contacted us. If we didn't decide to walk to lunch that day, This little girl could have been kidnapped, raped and killed. Your friend is good people. If something doesn't feel right, it isn't. If something wrong is happening, you take action. People die every day because someone brushed it off or thought someone else is calling the police or going to check it out. Edit, just to be clear. Good job. Hey man, you don't know, she could have just been killed, don't go making assumptions. When I was about 10 years old, I took a public transpo from my school to my house. It is about a half-hour drive and I was sitting beside the driver. Few minutes before my destination, I noticed I am the only passenger left. He then asked me if I wanted to come with him in his house to drink some juice because it is blazing hot outside. Luckily, we stopped in a stoplight and I immediately got out. What the feck, I'm glad you got out.